Tottenham 2, Chelsea 0, and we finally beat Chelsea at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What's going on, guys? Before I start the video, make sure you're smashing a like and subscribing to the channel. And make sure you're hitting that bell notification button so you can get all our videos on your phone ready to go. And what a game. Game of two halves yet again. We were fairly poor the first 45. I wouldn't say poor, but we really didn't do much in the first 45 minutes. Once again, second half comes and we perform. Goals to Oliver Skip and to Harry Kane. We'll get onto those a little bit later. But I want to first and foremost say how horrible that ref was. I've watched that the tackles that were made in that first half. I did feel like at the first half an hour he had a decent game. He was letting the game flow a little bit. But once the aggression started coming in, I felt like he lost the plot. Ziyech should have had a yellow card in the first 8 minutes. And then should have got a card on the tackle on, I think it was Romero. He got de-tackled. And then the scratch to the face, even though it come off the shoulder, it still should have been considered a second yellow and a red. I don't know what VAR or the ref was doing in that instance. It was pretty poor from both the VAR and the referee to not even give the ref a chance to look at it before the red card was awarded. Very much a massive confusion for ourselves watching at home, and anyone in the stadium would have had no clue what was going on. And then after that, I felt like he just didn't manage the game. It was too stop-start. He let a lot of stuff go in the first half an hour, and then just seemed like he thought, "Fuck it, I'll pick up on everything after it." Getting that out of the way, the performance, fairly happy all round. I don't think the team, no one really played bad. You could say Richarlison, but I'll get onto it a bit later. So we'll start from the back. Foster made 2 or 3 decent saves that he should have made, but he made them, and I feel like he wasn't challenged at all by Chelsea. The shot by Sterling did come off his chest. He didn't really get his hands to it, but he saved it. And then the shot straight at him at pace, I can't remember who it was. Might have been Felix, probably not though. But I think Foster had an average, a good game, 6 out of 7, 7 out of 10 for Foster. I don't think he did anything wrong. Maybe could have been a bit faster on distribution on some of the times we were countering. However, I know for a fact, and I said it in the stream, that if that was Lloris, he would have stopped and waited for everyone to get back on side and Chelsea to get set up before he cleared the ball out. So Foster had a good game. Start with Langley. I felt like Langley had a very tidy game. Didn't put his foot wrong. Didn't allow Felix space. Once Felix got the right side of him, it was a great ball from Enzo Fernandez, and that's all Enzo Fernandez did the whole fucking game. But him and Dyer as well. Dyer had a very tidy game, didn't make any mistakes, cleared everything he had to. Felt like it was a good defensive display from those two. And then Romero, these are the performances I want to see from him. He wasn't rash. He wasn't too aggressive. He came flying in a few times, but instead of clattering people, he'd get the ball. He niggled a few players, especially Havertz. Ziyech, he niggled. Just came in, won the ball, and then didn't fall for their bullshit. And another good performance. Had a really good game against West Ham, even though West Ham weren't that great. And the thing is, everyone's saying, West Ham weren't good attacking, Chelsea aren't good attacking. At the end of the day, these teams, West Ham put 4 against Forest yesterday. So we can't sit there and say they don't have the firepower. It's just the fact that I feel like we've stifled a lot of it, and we've got clean sheets at West Ham, Chelsea, and Man City now. 3 big teams that we usually always concede against. And West Ham aren't a big team, but they always seem to pull up against us. It's their cup final, and I think the defense is really showing. And I want to give a good mention to Davies. I know he's not as good as Perisic going forward. At times we looked very non-creative on the wings. It was very hard to watch at times, purely because Davies and Royal aren't creative wing backs. They're both very defensive minded. However, I think it was the right choice. Davies really nullified Ziyech, helped Langley double up on Felix because he was in that roaming role. Really stopped Havertz and Felix getting in and around the box. And overall, good display by Davies, cleared everything. You get consistency out of him, and that's why I think even though he's not the top echelon of defenders, I think we really need him in and around the squad because he does bring that average consistency. And now I know the level that we need is above his level, but when you're bringing consistent performances, you barely make mistakes. For me, I'd rather have him than Langley in the team. If we were to pick next year who'd keep, I do feel like Davies hasn't put a foot wrong for us. Really makes the odd mistake every 10 games. One every 10 games is better than some of the other defenders that we've had that seem to be every second game they're barely on ice. So shout out to Davies for once again playing in that role. Didn't get too much up the pitch, but he couldn't really do much in that first half. And then go to the other side to Royal. I've been a really big, on Royal's case this season. Didn't feel like he was good enough, but at the end of the day, when you're performing the way he is defensively, and he is trying to get forward, showed a bit of skill, showed a bit of Brazilian skill. He's not the Peruvian right back that we've all been thinking that we got. The thing is his consistency. He's showing good form. May not be the best right back in the league, but he's showing good form, defending well, kept Sterling quiet. Sterling had only had that one shot. And he's showing a good partnership with Romero. I noticed that they're both really they're communicating very well. And there was times where Romero would tell Royal that he's going in to that right back position and pushing the winger, and to let Royal sit in, because Royal obviously had been defending up and down that wing. So I think the chemistry between those two is really starting to help that right side defensively. I don't think Romero needs to be as rash, because he's kind of depending on Royal now a little bit. This is only my observation, but I feel like that's why they're both performing a bit better than what they were at the start of the season. The chemistry is starting to flow, and I think that's for the whole back five. To be honest, I think the whole back five is starting to really understand each other. But in saying that, I'll probably jinx it, and the next game we're going to get fucking 6 put against us. Going into the midfield, I'm going to go to Højbjerg first. Great game. Højbjerg did everything, had to clean everything up. Him and Skip were just winning the balls higher up the pitch or in the midfield, shutting down play. He didn't start running. I have been on Højbjerg's back this season, because the role that he kind of needs to play, he hasn't been able to play it. He's not creative. However, you can't fault his last 2 or 3 performances, West Ham, City, and today. He didn't play against AC, and the Leicester game, I think everyone played like shit. But the big games, he's really stood up. He's not having worldies, but the thing is it's he's not being spoken about, but he does a lot. If you watch the games back, Højbjerg is doing a lot, and he's kind of like not an unsung hero, but he's kind of going unnoticed, and that's a good thing, because if Højbjerg's tidies everything up, he's really become a stalemate force in that midfield. And the thing is, he's had rotated partners. He's been the most consistent midfielder we've had for the last 2-3 years. So I'm going to props to Højbjerg. Great game. And then we go over to our boy Skip. What a banger! I mean, I didn't know he had that in his locker, but just look at the way he had to take that. He had to brush off Felix, took one touch, and he just smacked it. He had nothing out of his mind. He knew what he was going to do before he even hit it, and should have done better. Should have skyrocketed off his forehead, and then Kepa just couldn't keep it out. It was hit with that much velocity, and you've got to give props to him. The last 3 or 4 games, especially Milan, was good. It was good against City. Was good at West Ham. Was good. Wasn't that good at Leicester, but he's starting to slowly get the performances that he had before he got injured last season under Conte and Nuno, And the thing is, I'm not saying he's going to be a world beater. I'm not going to say he's going to be the best midfielder we're ever going to have. I honestly thought we probably would have played Sarr today because of the way that Sarr likes to track back, and he's very good at pushing players off the ball as they run towards our goal, and then carrying the ball out from that final third into the middle third for us. But Skip today was immense. Engine to the 93rd, 94th minute. We had 50 minutes in the first half. Went to an extra 6 minutes in the second half. Skip played every minute. He was running the whole time. Scored a banger of a goal. And the thing I like about Skip is he tries to carry the ball forward, and he's starting to do that more and more as he's getting confident. And look, if we can keep Skip and he can keep improving and get that form that he had last year, where he was keeping out the likes of Højbjerg out the midfield. At one point he was tipped to push out the likes of Dembele when he was coming through the academy. Poch really liked him before we loaned him out and stuff. Like, we have a tidy player there, and he's probably not going to be world class, but he's going to be one of those players that, 3 or 4 years down the line, if he gets the game time and he develops, could be, a top 6 centre defensive midfielder, and homegrown, one of our own. I mean, I'm hoping for his sake that he keeps progressing the way he is, and that's the same with Sarr. I want Sarr to progress because I can actually see those two being our midfield in the future if they develop into the players that they possibly could be. But I think that's a bit of a reach. Don't quote me on that. Probably going to be clipped up in a couple of years when they're both playing Championship. Hopefully not. I really hope they do succeed. But what a game from Skippy. Going to the front line, Kulu. Felt like Kulu was very average in the first half. Second half, he got a bit more space. It's a few times where I thought Kulu could shoot. I feel like he's not got his shooting boots on yet. I don't think he's got that confidence to whip that ball in from the outside of the box like he was doing last year, at the end of last year. But him and Emerson are starting to get a bit more of a flow as well, chemistry. Emerson just needs to overlap him a bit more and draw a defender. Sometimes Emerson kind of stop-starts, and I can see sometimes it gets in the way of Kulu. But he had a decent performance. It was good to see him be rotated instead of Richarlison. I felt like, Richarlison needs a bit more time, and I'll get to Richarlison now. I felt offensively he had a really poor game. Had 1 or 2 shots that he should have done better on. I feel like his link-up play when he won that free kick on the edge of it should have been a free kick on the edge of the box. I don't know, it wasn't. That little play that he can do in the middle, I still stand by the fact that he can play. He should be playing through the middle, but when you've got someone like Harry Kane in the middle, you're not going to sacrifice your formation for Richarlison. So, unfortunately, he's going to have to get used to playing on the wings. However, I feel like it was the best. It was a good choice to start him again. Give him a show of faith. Son had 20 games where he was rubbish, and just because he scored 1 goal last week doesn't mean that he should walk straight back into the team. He should keep fighting for it, and it was good to see Richarlison. Defensive display, I felt like he tracked back a lot, helped out Davies a hell of a lot on that left side. Wasn't scared to be a nuisance, and that's the thing with Richarlison. He may not bring flair and skill and one touch at the best of times, but he does, have a good engine. He gets in there, gets stuck in, not afraid to defend his team. And defensively, I know he's a striker or a winger. Defensively, he was good today. Obviously, we want that to transition into offensively. We want him to be good going forward, but you can't complain about his defensive display today. I feel like he can do better. Maybe Son does come in next game, depending. But our next game is Sheffield. For me, I'd start him up front. I'd let Kane have a rest, let Son have a rest. I'd have Dan Juma, but I'll get onto that at the end of the video. And then Kane, what can we say? He just kept dropping deep in the first half. We weren't really getting much of the ball creativity wise. I feel like we're not putting the ball in the box enough for him. That's where the creativity of Perisic and maybe Porro needs to transition into the team, because Kane's not getting a sniff at the moment, or as he's not getting as many chances as he should. The player he is, the talent, the skill, the balls just aren't coming into him. However, back post. Great header from Eric Dyer to feed it onto him, and Sterling should have trapped him. Had just ball watching really. Sterling had no idea where that ball was coming in, and Kane's there. Kane's going to score. The guy can't stop scoring. 17, I think, league goals this season. If Haaland wasn't in the league, I think it's 18 actually, people would be fucking singing his name, saying how great he is. But Haaland's a robot. Like, the guy just scores goals, but doesn't bring much else. Whereas Kane's the full package for me. Crossfield passes, division. He's starting to get his hold up play back again. At the start of this season, I felt like he was losing the ball a lot when he was trying to hit the ball to his feet. Maybe because teams are realizing he is the focal point of our attack, no matter if he's getting the ball to shoot or if he's getting the ball to pass it. So they put a lot of pressure on him, and he was losing the ball a lot. I felt like he wasn't in his rhythm, but the last couple of weeks he started to win those individual battles. Last week against Ogbonna, when he pushed him off and fed it through for Son. These are the type of things that I feel like we've missed the first half of the season. That's why we have been so inconsistent. Kane's starting to show a bit of form. Romero starting to show a bit of form. Royal, Davies defensively sound. Højbjerg's starting to get his form back. Skip's starting to step up. We just need to keep progressing. And special mention to Sonny coming on. Didn't really have much time to do a lot, but when you got Son on there, I feel like he creates that nuisance of, oh shit, we got to mark Son. And it was smart bringing him on, because James was having a lot of niggling with Richarlison, and then obviously on the other side, Kulu was tearing Chilwell up. I actually would have liked to have seen Danjuma come on and go on that right side and really run at Chilwell, because Chilwell just couldn't handle how silky Kulu was in the second 20, like the 20 minutes in the second half, the first 20 minutes. Kulu was like just dribbling through him. And I feel like Danjuma could have came on. I feel sorry for the kid. I feel like he really, really does deserve a bit of a chance. He can't be any worse than Richie going forward. So I feel like that's an option that we should be looking at for Sheffield, especially giving Kane that rest, because after that, we've got 5 or 6 games against teams. Like, we've got Wolves away. That's probably going to be our hardest game in the next 6 or 7. And this is the run. These next 6 or 7 games are crucial. We're playing teams outside the top 6 the next 6 games, until we hit April. And there's Brighton in there. I'll actually have a quick look at it. We have Wolves, then we have Milan midweek next week. We have Nottingham Forest at home, Southampton away, Everton away, Brighton at home, Bournemouth at home, before we hit Newcastle, United, and Liverpool. So for me, you got 8 games before that Newcastle game, 1 cup game, 1 Champions League game. I want us to win them all. I'm quite confident at the moment. It looks like we start to really make this system our own. I don't like the system, but the way that we're slowly progressing, the players are starting to. It looks like the players are starting to really understand what they need to do, especially the likes of Romero and Langley. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the time they were, either side of Dyer, they were pushing into midfield to help out defensively. And then what would happen is if Romero went, Langley and Dyer would shuffle into a back 4, and then they would wait for Romero to fall back in, and they'd shuffle into the 5, and then vice versa. Langley would push forward, Dyer would move into that left centre back, Romero would move into that right centre back, and I thought the system's slowly starting to get there. We're sitting 4th, 4 points clear of Newcastle, but they do have 2 games in hand. But they have City next week, and the way they're going, they just lost the cup final to Manchester United. So I think Newcastle are on a decline. I think they were doing really, really well, playing above their level, but they're going to need a couple more years before they can really, really challenge for this top 4. But then, I'll probably just jinx it. They're probably going to play. They'll probably win every game for the rest of the season and get 3rd, knowing these guys. But we just got to keep our consistency. In the next 8 games before Newcastle, we really need to go in there and win everything. I think we can win at home to Milan. I think the first team that scores will probably take the game. We're only 1 goal down. So, if we get that first goal, we need to go gun home and get that second. Wolves away from going to be the hardest. Apart from that, I think we can get maximum points from the likes of Bournemouth, Brighton, Everton, Southampton. We should be beating these teams. And if we want to stay in this top 4 race, we need to beat these teams. But what I want to see against Sheffield, I want to see Porro starting. I want to see him get some game time running out. Probably get to like Tanganga. I like to see Sarr get some time running out. And like I said, I want to see a front three of Richarlison, Danjuma, and even Mora. I'm not opposed to having Kulu have a rest. He hasn't had a rest since he's come back from injury, since the World Cup. Hasn't looked his best. So maybe that little bit of time midweek to rest him before the Wolves game on the weekend will be what he needs. Now, the game for Sheffield, probably not going to do a watch along. It is 7 a.m. for us Thursday morning, and we'll work. So once again, it's going to be a miss from us, unfortunately. However, we'll be doing a pre-match preview the next couple of days with the boys. Get a video out for you guys. And then before the weekend, we'll be doing a review of that cup game. Hopefully we win. And then a live watch along for the Wolverhampton game on Sunday morning for us, but Saturday for all you in England. So that's it, guys. Appreciate you joining me. Appreciate all the guys, people that watch, comment, and have subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you are liking and subscribing, because it helps us get our content out. We do this for fun, but it is nice seeing people join in on your views, and even if it's negative, if it's positive, just have your say. Here we take all opinions, regardless if we agree with them or not. But make sure you're smashing a like and subscribing to the channel. Hit that bell button for notifications, and we'll catch you next time, guys. And as we always say here at Total Spurs, stay Spursy.